Hi, the strategist here. So I thought about something real quick this afternoon whilst I was just, on a founders community, right? And is this war between employers and employees, right? With respect to employees using employers' time to pursue what you call side hustle or build their own businesses, right? And when you look at the startup ecosystem, you would notice or you would realize that some of the high impact startups that we have seen today has come up as a result of these founders who previously were working in other high impact startups and then saw a problem or saw a gap in a certain market and then decided that they were going to go and solve and close that gap. And that singular decision led them into building their own startups, and they've gone to become CEOs and then hired other people. And whether they started building that startup while still working in their previous companies, that's another conversation. And I feel like it's an elephant in the room that we often don't like talk about, because there's a lot of I don't know how to put it now, but from a HR perspective, there's just a lot of many thin lines there, and most HR professionals will not agree that that's ethical, right? That's ethical to do. But I found something that I believe would be commercially rewarding to both parties, which is the employer and the employee, right? And I'd like you to hear me out before you crucify me. Just hear me out, okay? It's basically creating a founders program, right? Or let me just go back. So companies can identify employees with high entrepreneurial skills or employees who has got entrepreneurial thinking at a very high rate, and there has to be a metrics as to how they discover these employees, right? So they can profile all their team members, the staff, and then find out using those metrics employees who have high penchant for entrepreneurship. They're always looking for the next problem to solve, and you always know this. They're always the ones looking for how to solve problems within the organization. We can take them through a founders program. It can be an in-residency program. You don't have to move out, right? And it has to be like a very clear, clear communication that you still work for this company, but you're going to be committing XYZ number of time into this program that we're trying to inculcate. So think of it like when middle managers go through like a fast track program or something. So we can create a founders fast track program for them that doesn't interfere with their KPIs and what they are required to do in the company, right? A founders fast track program where we work with this small pool. I'm thinking they're not going to be much. So with this small pool of employees who have been identified as entrepreneurial, and then take them through the founders fast track program, and then at the end of the program they're going to work on an idea. Now that idea can be an idea that will be commercially viable for the company they work in, such that they create that idea, build it into a product, and then probably just own a high level of shares in that while still working for the company. That's if they choose to remain working for the company. Or it could be that way where they create a product within a company, and then own it. I know it's been done somewhere, maybe Google. I think Google did something like that. I'm not so sure now, or Microsoft. So you create a product within a company, and then you sort of like have a higher stake, or a very, very high stake ownership in it, such that you are different from other employees, and then you are building that product within that company. All right. So there has to be like some legal paperwork around it. Then the other option could be that after the founders fast track program, they work on an idea. They can identify that idea within the markets. It can be any industry. all right, and then they begin to build it into a product, all right. So maybe a venture platform, a venture building platform comes to support them to build out into a product, and then when that idea becomes pretty much a product that has achieved like a product market fit or commercially viable, then they can exit the company and go to do that full time. But of course, what's the need for the employer or the company they are exiting from? They get to own equity stake, maybe 1%, 2%, such that it becomes a win-win for both parties. So all these employees who still work, right, but are building out, testing out their ideas and their solutions, no longer have to hide. You're hiding and they don't want HR to catch me and things like that. It's open, it's clear, and my company is backing me. But I also understand that I have to fulfill my KPIs, right, for which I'm hired primarily in the company, right? And that program sort of like becomes an added responsibility to them. But guess what? They'll take it seriously because it benefits them. So it's a win-win for both parties. And companies can now begin to create institution of new generation CEOs, where you are not just hiring people and paying them salaries, you're also now replicating, CEOs. You are transitioning employers into, founders, into CEOs. And when you look back at that, that can become like a CSR for the company. That can become like something really huge. And guess what? You still get to own like stakes, in the company they've built out. So I think this is something that could work. I haven't thought so much around it. If you're listening to this right now and you're an employer and you think that you want to test something, as this on your employees, right? Please send me a DM. I'm very much available on Twitter at Victor Onyeke, but you can also DM me on our platforms, right? So send me a DM and let's talk about it. I'm happy to, test this out and see how it works out, because I believe that we need to start building an institution, and that's why I love what Tony Elumelu is doing, right? Companies, the reason why you are up there is to also create. So imagine you become an employer of labor, and then you hire people, and then you now train some of them to now become employers of labor. Guess what? We are reducing the unemployment rate. We're closing that gap, and then we're creating jobs for people, by creating founders. So I'll be happy to jump on a call to talk about this with any employer that feels that this is something they want to get on. I think it's quite revolutionary. So I'm hoping, or I'm looking forward to talking more about this. Thank you so much. Bye.